Rebecca Reynolds. She's been co-teaching using Sphero and also the Indy robot. And it was just recently approved, Dustin. So we're really excited about that.
Thanks for the intro. Yes, I am. I'm happy to share a whole lot of information about Sphero. So the biggest news, the bigger news components we have right now. Specifically, you just mentioned we are approved as far as being able to download the app and connect to the robots throughout the district. So that was a fun thing that we learned about yesterday. I guess with that being said, is there, I can point to specific places to download that. I don't know if that's going to get pushed out to the, okay, very cool. So hopefully that just shows up on your devices and you guys won't have to download anything.
Yeah, we can have it pushed out, and if not, they can put in a ticket to have it pushed out. And I have our robotics expert in here with me. And what were you going to say, Tim, about that?
So, yes, users can install it if they need to. If they're not going to use it, they don't have to. It won't
Right.
be pushed, right?
Yeah. If users can install it if they need to. So we don't want to push it out district wide if they're not going to use it. So a ticket would be put in at JC. No.
They can just install it themselves.
For right now, they can just install it themselves.
The Play Store.
Yep, or the Chrome Web Store. So awesome.
Perfect. So I can point to some of those places as well. So I'll share my screen here with you guys. Alrighty. So you should be able to see the Sphero webpage here. So a couple places I'll point to right out the gate. I'll share a little bit more information just about Sphero, who we are, what we do, and the students you can support with Sphero. But since we're talking about downloading the apps, I'll just jump there directly right now. So on any given web page, if you go to Sphero.com and scroll down all the way to the bottom right of any web page, you'll find a whole section called resources. So the resources here that I'm going to specifically point out right now, one of which is called app downloads. So the app downloads is exactly what it sounds like, but it will direct you to downloading the app on whatever device you're using. So specifically Chromebooks, you would go to the Google Play Store. Google is getting rid of or not necessarily using Chrome apps after June of 2022. So we are going to be updating the Google Play and the Android app definitely more frequently than the Chrome app. You can still use both right now, but any device, you just go to this section here on our webpage and you can download any of the apps on whatever device you're trying to use. So beyond that, I'm going to back up just a little bit and I'll share a little bit about Sphero. If anybody is completely new to Sphero, you don't know what it is. We're a robotics company that specializes in making round robots, hence the name Sphero. So from there, we a couple of years ago, we started making robots and we partnered with a company called Disney. And with that, we made all of these Star Wars robots. So we got a claim to fame there, and educators started bringing our robots into the classrooms, and then they turned to us and said, hey, we got these really cool robots. How do we use them in the classroom? And at that point, we didn't have a great solution. So we created our Sphero Edu App, which is what we're pointing to here. The app basically houses all the content and allows you to connect to the robots. So you can kind of think of it as a teachers pay teachers, a little bit of social media without some of the junk. It just offers you the opportunity to go through the app, find lessons, find something that pertains to what you're trying to teach in the classroom. But there are literally thousands of lessons and activities to choose from. So I'll play a short clip of a video here, just educators from around the United States talking about how they're using Sphero in the classroom, and then I'll show you some cool lessons, tips, and activities to do that.
STEM is the big catchword right now because everybody wants to make sure that we are preparing our students for the 21st century learning.
We're seeing kids who are not necessarily prepared.
Critical thinking, collaboration, being able to code Spheros, it actually combines all of those.
Everything we do is in a group, so they're constantly working with their peers and working with that and building those skills to use in their future careers.
I think it's accessibility and it's usability. Kindergarten students all the way up to high school and beyond students can use it.
sometimes when the kids do the programs, they finish the task, but then they want to go further.
When they are working on a Sphero project and they don't get it to work the way they want it to, well, now they've got buy-in. They have a reason to continue that struggle to figure it out.
And it sort of teaches them a new way of persevering and the rewards they can have for that perseverance. It teaches them skills that are valid today and in the future, and it does it in a way that doesn't feel like classwork.
So if you are looking to dive into Sphero, dive into some specific lessons, how to use the bolts, which is the most commonly found robots within the schools right now, I'll direct you specifically to a scope and sequence. So the scope and sequence, and this came out a couple years ago. I can also put some of these resources in the chat, or I can share them out just in the event that you guys want to take a look at these later. But the scope and sequence is a list of 3 pages of lessons. They're all free to use. Yeah, as long as you have the robots, you can utilize them. You can jump into these lessons now, even without the robots, in case you want to take a look. But I like to specifically point to lessons that set the foundation, help everyone understand what Sphero is, how to program it, and then you can jump into some other cool lessons and activities that pertain to engineering design challenges, building, coding, making, kind of combining everything together. So one of those lessons is called Blocks 1. So Blocks 1, I'm just clicking into it from the scope and sequence here. This is a series of lessons. So there's Blocks 1 through Blocks 4, and these are all lessons that students were able to utilize on their own at home this past year. So some school districts around the country had the opportunity to do lending programs with their students where they would check out robots. Students would take the robots home, and then they would work through some of this content. The reason they were able to work through the content, in my opinion, is because of the intuitive videos that are included in some of the lessons here. It's basically step-by-step instructions with very little instruction needed. Everything that you would need is even down to troubleshooting lives within these videos. So I'll just show you a glimpse into what this one looks like. But Blocks 1 is something I recommend for everyone, whether or not you're using this at home, if you're using it in the classroom, you're a teacher, you're a student, everybody that's new to Sphero, anybody that's never used a robot before. This is the lesson that I'd be pointing to. Again, I'll just play a short glimpse into this just so you can check out what it looks like. But it's again very step by step and everything you would need.
Now you will create a program to make Sphero roll in a square. You can try this on your own without the video or follow along here for a step-by-step guide. A square is a regular polygon where all sides are the same length and all internal angles are equal to 90 degrees. So this is an easy shape to start with. To start, click the Program Canvas button in the upper right to link a new program to this activity. Name it Square. Choose the Blocks program type and select the robot you are using. Before you get started, it's helpful to know you can long press any block on mobile or right-click on a Chromebook, Mac, or Windows computer to get a hint of what it does and what units it's measured in. Some blocks have a Learn More button that links to our programming wiki where you can find out how the JavaScript code works. Feel free to explore the various blocks to get a sense for what's available. For your square, you will start here in the Movements category. Movements is where you will find the blocks that control Sphero's motors and different ways to move. For the square, you will start with a roll block. Add one roll block to the canvas for the first side of the square by dragging it below the start block and making sure that it links together. The roll block has 3
So I won't make you sit through the rest of this video right now, but this is just, again, a glimpse into what some of the content actually looks like once you dive into these lessons. So this is just an example of a basic coding lesson and just an understanding for Sphero in general. The other lessons that I love to point to, again, revolve around the idea of making and engineering design. So my personal favorite lesson that we have is called Hydro Hypothesis. So this lesson's all about creating a flotation device out of maker materials. So you're talking about popsicle sticks, pipe cleaners, bubble wrap, tape, and you want to get the flotation device to float. Step 2 is to actually program the robot using some of the skills you've learned in blocks 1 to make the flotation device move. So again, we like to clip in these short little videos. This is about a 15-second video here.
Sphero has a problem. He needs to get these pennies from here to there. Can you design a watercraft that Sphero can use to carry a pile of pennies across the water?
So I love this lesson. The idea of actually getting electronics wet is something that students typically aren't used to. The only robot that we recommend doing this with is our Bolt robot. So the Bolt robots are completely waterproof. There's nothing that actually plugs into them. They are charged with a little cradle. They charge just like some of the cell phones charge these days, where you can put the cell phone on a charging pad and it just charges inductively. So the same technology actually sits within our robots, where nothing has to plug in, and that actually allows them to be fully encapsulated and offers them the opportunity to do things like this lesson here, where they can be submerged in water, they float, and you can incorporate them, in a cool lesson like this. So again, I mentioned step 1 of this lesson was all about, creating the flotation device. Step 2 is powering that flotation device with the robot. You'll notice that the robots are very smooth. They don't get a whole lot of traction in the water. So the third component is creating a little bit of a water wheel out of the robot. So you can start to add on rubber bands around the robot and creating a little bit more traction so the flotation device can move a little bit more quickly through that water. But the last component, the students are completely vested in the project. They are, they're enthralled with the idea that you can put the electronics in the water, but, they've built out their flotation devices. So now this is where you can start to see how much weight the flotation device will ultimately carry. So you can start to throw on pennies, just as in this image here on the right-hand side. You can throw on the pennies, pull out a sliding scale, figure out the total mass that each individual flotation device will carry, all the while getting powered across the pool there. So, at the end of the day, you'll have students where they'll find out the critical failure or the total mass before they have the critical failure and their flotation device begins to sink. But again, just a super fun lesson, something that's fairly easy to implement, just getting a tub of water, baby pools. We've seen a lot of those, but again, just a cool lesson to jump into. One of my other favorites is called it's a bridge building challenge. So this challenge or this lesson again involves a little bit of making, a little bit of the engineering design, but the idea behind this one is you want to build a bridge. The bridge could be connecting stacks of books. It could be desks. You're just connecting something that the bridge will connect. But ultimately, you're pulling out the popsicle sticks. Again, a lot of times we see straws or popsicle sticks to build these out. But we talk about the idea of what makes the bridge structurally sound. So we embedded the video here from the Tacoma, Washington bridge collapse from years ago, where the bridge wasn't supported correctly and it broke apart just with some high winds that came through. But we talk about why it's important, why it's important to make a structurally sound bridge, how to build it correctly, and then we talk about the actual building constraints for what the students would need to build a bridge to have the robots cross. So as you can see, without even having to dive too heavily into this video, we talk about the width that they'll need in order to make sure that the robots will cross them. So a lot of times what we'll see is we'll see groups of students working together to build out these bridges. At the end of the day, you'll have somewhere between 6 and 8 bridges in a classroom, but you want to make it so that the students can program their robots to cross all of the bridges. So they're going to connect them all together, and then it'll be one big classroom project where they've coded the robots to cross all of the bridges that the students have created. So again, just another super fun lesson that you're coding, you're building, you're making, and you're doing a little bit of everything together. So the other lessons that you can search for, even just sitting here within the app, you can search for specific lessons. The introduction to Sphero is excellent for just building and scaffolding the understanding for how to connect to the robots. Up here at the top, these are all actually sort functions. So if I'm looking for, we've been doing a lot of science and math lessons that I've been sharing so far. But for art, if you were looking to sort just for lessons that pertain to art, these are what's gonna pop up for me. So if I was looking for art activities and then a specific grade level, I could search those as well. But just for the purposes here today, we'll stick to this one. I love this component or this lesson that deals with creating a Jackson Pollock type painting with the use of painting with the robot. So the idea here is you have put paint splotches down. You want to make sure that the robot is contained. So, a lot of times we'll see hula hoops and pool noodles, but they'll put the robot in the paint, and then they'll program the robot to do, whatever the student wants it to do in order to create their artwork. But again, just a super fun way to be able to use the robots. Something that we want to point out with this one is you do want to use a water-based paint and not oil-based. Water-based paint will wash right off the robots. Again, the robots are waterproof, so it'll just wash right away. So there's no need to worry about getting paint all over the robots. But we see this lesson a lot. I talked with a school that was a part of Chicago Public Schools recently, and they talk about how they do an ice cream social at the end of the year. And they have all the students create their artwork, and they hang the artwork up in the gymnasium. And before COVID, the parents were coming through the school and they were able to see all the artwork. But just a fun way to show off how they were using the technology. They have the artwork, but just a unique way that they're able to paint. So going back here a little bit, if you are looking for anything outside of what these specific filters are, you can go up to a different filter up here in the top right corner of the screen. So this is where you can start to sort for education standards. There are education standards specific to Kentucky. So we did an alignment recently for 72 of our lessons to the Kentucky standards. So the content is actually aligned to the state. It's just something that we had done on the back end. Most of our content is somehow standard aligned to most standards across the country. So going back and doing the alignments is fairly easy. It's not something that we focused on at the beginning, but is absolutely applicable to what you're trying to teach within the classrooms. I'll show you another unique thing that you can do. There's tags. So if you're looking for a specific content area, so maybe you're talking about bringing this into a math class and you want to maybe talk about fractions. So I'm going to click on the tag for fractions and decimals, and it should populate a whole list of lessons to choose from here. So again, whatever you're trying to teach, whatever you're teaching in the classroom, there's more likely than not some type of lesson that'll help reinforce some of the concepts that you're already trying to teach. The other ones that I like to talk about, I think this applies really well to high school physics classes. So I can even just do a quick search for physics, and it'll populate a whole series of lessons. One of my favorite things to do is to show off how some of our Sphero heroes create these cool lessons. So this lesson was created by a Sphero hero. I believe she lives out of California. But if you click onto her icon here, this will actually show the lessons and programs that she has created specifically. So you can go into any one of these and you can just use a lesson that's already created. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But if you're trying to maybe talk about cell structure, you can tell that this teacher teaches about both physics and biology. So this is how you would talk about Sphero doing a cell tour. So again, not something you would ever ordinarily think of when you're talking about robotics and coding, but this is just a cool way to be able to apply it to a biology class. The other one that I like to talk about a lot is the use of the robots when talking about the digestive system. Again, not something you would ever ordinarily think of when you are using the robot, but again, just a cool way to help reinforce reinforce the concepts here. So the idea behind this lesson is you are on a butcher piece of paper, you've created the diagram for the digestive system and you've labeled the various parts. So at the end, you have to program the robot to travel through the digestive system. So the robot has a speak block function where it can speak back where you can type in any words that you'd like it to say, but eventually you'll have it navigating through, and the robot will be speaking back the various parts of the digestive system as it travels through. So again, just a fun way to be able to use the robot. So again, there's all kinds of content, all kinds of lessons that you can do with the bolts, but I'm going to transition here to our Indy. So Indy is another robot that we offer. The idea behind Indy is it's built for some of our younger kiddos. So the Indy is actually, let's go to Indy here real quick. It's brand new. We just launched it here in September, and honestly, I think it's going to be one of our most popular products that we have going forward. I think it's incredibly beneficial for some of the younger kiddos. We created it with the idea that there's a color sensor that sits right on the bottom. The color sensor the robot's a screen-free. It doesn't need a device in order to be able to be programmed. The idea is that the robot passes over various color tiles, and the students can tell the robot what to do just with the use of the color tiles. So I'm trying to find my video. We've done a lot of updates to our website recently, and I can't find the page that I'm looking for. Let's see here.
While you're looking for it, we love Indy. We have one here, and we are co-teaching with it. We have 9 here. Awesome. And we are co-teaching a lot with them. And so if you are joining us now while he was looking for the video, such a great tool for our younger kids. Did you find it?
Yep.
This is Indy, Sphero's robot just for early learners that brings imaginative, play-based learning to the classroom. No screens required. Students program Indy with color using screenless color tiles to give commands and navigate Indy through mazes they create. Once they've mastered screenless programming, students can level up with basic block coding in the Sphero Edu Junior app and reprogram the way Indy responds to each color. Indy gives young learners a head start on practicing valuable computational thinking skills by getting them hands-on with the process of problem solving using decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, and algorithms. The Indy Class Pack comes with everything you need to get your entire class learning and collaborating with both self-guided activities and standards-aligned lesson plans that allow you to...
So while it's talking about the standards-aligned lesson plans, those have also been aligned to Kentucky standards.
Seamlessly integrate STEAM and computational thinking into curriculum you're already teaching, like colors and directions, measurement, sequencing, storytelling, and much more. Speed into STEAM with Indy. Go to Sphero.com to learn more.
So Indy's the favorite robot that we have at my house right now. We have a whole slew of robots, right? But my kiddos are in 1st grade and 2nd grade. So Indy is by far the most popular robot around my house right now. The fun part about being able to work for Sphero and for my kiddos is the fact that we can, do some testing with some of the robots that we're producing before they actually hit the market. So this is my son Landon, and this was this past winter. But that's the initial testing that we were doing with the robots when we were first producing them. My son last year was in 1st grade, so I kind of just threw him the stack of cards. I threw him the robot, and I said, "Here you go. And this is essentially what he came up with. I just told him the information about the color tiles and how they'll make the robot move. Something that to notice in this video is that the paper tiles were initially something that were going to come with the class kits. However, they are silicone tiles that you can wash off and you don't need to tape to the ground. But this, again, is Landon, and this is the chaos of my house on a typical Sunday night.
As soon as you see that, then it's up. Okay, ready? Can you...
So very exciting. We love it. Having a real good time with it. I guess a couple things that we want to point out specifically to Indy. There are a whole slew of resources that we have available. You can check out download a sample of the curriculum guide, and then we also have challenge cards that you can download. So the challenge cards and the curriculum guide come with some of our class packs. The cool thing about the challenge cards is it gives students the initial idea as to how it's going to work. So the challenge cards, the idea is it will tell you specifically what color that you're going to want to put on the ground. And then it'll tell you to substitute a secondary card at the end. So it'll tell you to throw a red card down, a purple card, a yellow, and a green. And then it'll progress through, having the students ultimately create something like what my son Landon had done. But this is just a great beginner step for having the students gain the understanding that they're telling the robot what to do with the cards, and each card represents a different action. So there's 8 different colors. There are 4 turns. There's a green, a yellow, and a red. And they represent the same actions as a stoplight. So green is go, yellow is slow down, red is stop. If it hits another green, I'm going to throw it back to Nintendo with Mario Kart. If you hit another green, it's going to be a boost. If you hit a yellow, again, along the lines of the Mario Kart, you hit a banana. So again, just the ways that I connect to the robots, showing my age. So the other thing that I want to point out is we actually just won an award we were recognized by Time magazine for being one of the best inventions of 2021. So Indy is recognized, and this just came out 2 days ago. So Time magazine comes out with the best inventions every year, and Indy was recognized specifically by Time as being one of those inventions this year. So just again,
exciting! We are so excited about that.
It is. We were thrilled to be recognized for this. I mean, we always knew it was amazing, but just being able to be recognized by Time was a super big feather in our cap, I guess.
100%. That's great.
So looks like we have 2 minutes left. I'm happy to answer any questions if they come up, but if there's anything that comes up after today, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me. It's up to you guys as far as any questions you have.
Lesson ideas. So Brian Franklin, sorry, I was looking in the chat. I was reading out loud. Brian Franklin in the chat, he was just saying that, thanks, Brian, for being here. He's one of our assistive technology friends with ECE, and he said that there are just lesson ideas that he could never dream up. He loved the art project idea. Yes, Brian, you can come out with Rebecca or myself anytime. We love teaching about Indy. Where can you buy these? That's a great question.
You can buy them from me.
You can buy them from Dustin. And actually, for our friends that are watching, if you talk to your STC in your building, they should be able to show you something called the knowledge base. And on the knowledge base, you can search for information such as this to get the purchasing information and how to use it. So, we're going to get that. If that's not added, it may not be because we just got it approved. But Rebecca will make sure that we look into that and get that all added to the knowledge base. So go to your STCs and ask them about that, and they can get you some information. Or you can always email Rebecca Reynolds or find her on Twitter. Let's see, anything else? So Rebecca knew the answer. Rebecca asked that question. She knew the answer, but she just wanted everyone to hear that. So thanks, Dustin. Heather says, you rock. You're awesome. We really appreciate you and all the work that you're doing with us. So this was great. So thanks so much.
Cool. Happy to be here. Thank you.
And also, will you, if you will, send me those resources, and then when we get these videos sliced up, we will add those to the bottom on our YouTube channel, and that'd be great.
Cool.
Okay.
Perfect. Sounds
All
good.
right.
Will do.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.